Well, happy Sunday, folks. This is unannounced, so I've got nobody in here quite yet, so I'm going to talk for a few minutes, wait for you to start coming into the room. And this is me, Scotty Roberts. You know me from my daily show with Odyssey Radio Network, and that's ODYSY1.com. Not broadcasting through them today. This is Sunday, and this is something new that I'm going to try today, and we'll see how it works on future Sundays. Good morning, Audrey. So what I am going to do today, and this was at the strong advice of my business manager and supporter, that would be my wife, Rainey. She said, you know what? Why don't you, since you can't really do it on your radio show, why don't you come in over the weekend and do some live tarot readings? And so that's what I'm going to do today, as well as talk a little bit before we start getting into that. And so, hey, Topper, how you doing? Hey, Jessica, Brianna, nice to see you. And I kind of miss doing the live. We come live every now and then. We did a little live thing on here yesterday before Rocky and Rainey and I and our friend Rebel came along. And we went over and did a little paranormal investigation. I hate that term, by the way, because it's become such a comic parody of itself, it seems, in recent days. But maybe we can help bring back a little respectability to it. And so we had a good time yesterday. We went over to, there's an old guy in town here in New Richmond. I'm in a small town, Wisconsin, about an hour from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area in Minnesota. And in our small town, which is about the business district, about 2-3 blocks long, with some old buildings there. And Carl happens to be in one of those buildings. He's my barber. And I've always kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of likened him to Floyd the Barber from Mayberry, if you remember those series. If you're old enough to remember Andy Griffith or Mayberry RFD, some of those shows, that's who Carl kind of reminds me of. Not visually, but the kind of guy he is. He's always open. He's got this little old barber shop, and the old chairs, his chairs are 100 years old. And something like that. They're antiques. He said to me yesterday how old they were. Pre-1960, there you go. His chairs are about 60 years old. And so it's an old shop. He plays old music. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they're on 8-track player in the back, rigged through the speakers. He started his shop in 1976, and he, in 1976, he bought it out from Jack's Barbershop. He's been doing it ever since. So he's been there, and the building, by the way, was built in 1859. I don't know what's distracting me. I think my wife is in the room, and so she always distracts me. But and I'm always thinking about what I'm saying when she's listening. It's like, oh, am I doing this right?
Want me to put headphones on?
No, you're good. You're good. And so, well, we went over there yesterday, and so we had a good time. There wasn't a lot over at Carl's, we'll tell you that. Now, we haven't gone through all of the recordings and everything quite yet, but we got a few things, a few voices. Some said hello. Now, get this. I don't know if you were there watching when it happened, because Rocky was streaming this. I don't know if this one went to his YouTube or to his Facebook, but we were upstairs, and we set some devices on one of Carl's chairs, and Rainey was asking questions. And a man's voice comes through and says, get this. Man's voice on the spirit box says to Rainey, how you doing? And we laughed about that a little bit. And we said to whatever spirit said that, we said, hey, you must have good taste. So that was a fun part of the day. Ron Frisbee, good to see you, brother. Haven't seen you for a while. Since I do the radio show, I don't get to come in here live and say hi to everybody. So that's a little different setup. And I've threatened to do this already a few times, but I'm going to do at least try to do once or twice a week an extension show. So after the broadcast show, which many of you already know, it's no secret, I pre-record my radio show a little earlier in the day, so it goes out to both the radio station and it goes out to my YouTube channel. When I record on two different programs: the audio for radio, and then the video for streaming. And so then I put those both up, and I can come into the chat room, and I try to make every chat room and try to make a live presence that way. And you're only a few hours offset from when I actually recorded that show. But I'm thinking of doing a couple of nights a week at least where I come on at 10 o'clock Central Time, be 11 o'clock Eastern Time, when my show ends, and do a little live extension. Except when it might conflict with Professor Bauer's show, plays in that slot some nights. And of course, Rocky Stucci and I do the Situation Room at 11 Central. So there you go. Let's see who all is here. Macabre, Sterling, Brianna. Let's see. Topper, I said hi to you. And Audrey, of course, always Audrey. Our girl Friday, Audrey, keeps all our links up and keeps you guys all wrangled over there when we're dropping the ball. Jessica, I hadn't seen you. Good morning to you, Jessica McCreary. Nice to have you here. And so what I'm going to do this morning is I just wanted to talk a little bit to allow people some time to realize I've actually got a live stream going, and to come on in and to get settled a little bit. And we'll do a couple of tarot readings. I think I'm going to try today to limit it to one card. And that one card, of course, is just to give you a touch point for the morning of today. And Rainey, I'm going to ask you to do something. If you would check over on my website and look at the tarot link. And Audrey, I could be asking you that too, but I don't know what you're doing on that end. Rainey's just right over here at her desk. Rainey's doing nothing. She's painting. She's working on her journals and painting and stuff. So you should go check her out. By the way, right here, if you see this, can you read this on the arm of my mic stand? That's where you go see Rainey's stuff. That's over. It's etsy.com/shop/Mama Hathor's Studio. So, Macabre, I'm going to read you. I saw yours first, so I'm going to read you. If you guys would like a reading, just go ahead and let me know here, and I'll try to make a little list. Oops, I got a pen I left open.
You talk too much now. I got lost. I got your website up. What did you
I just want to see if I've got the tarot link, and if you click on it, do I have specials for the PayPal link on there from last time I did that, or do I have
5 card for 45 and a 10 card for 85?
Okay, here's what I'll do. I'm telling you, folks, I do 5 card readings for $45, and I do 10 card or a full spread for, was it 85?
Yes. For
$85. That's what I normally do. So I'm going to whet your appetites a little bit. I'm doing 2 things here, and I want you to be fully aware that I'm fully aware of it, and there's no secrets here. I'm trying to boost my tarot reading a little bit. It'd be nice to bring in, since I don't charge for this show, and I have no scholarships, subscriptions, anything like that. You can help me with my time that I put into this by spreading the word around, coming in yourself, getting a tarot reading. And you can go over to my website, ScottAllenRoberts.com, and it's not scrolling here. So if you go over there and you click on the link at the top that says tarot, you're going to see some PayPal buttons on there. And if you want to line one up, just go ahead and make a payment for one, and then email me or message me on Facebook, or however you need to get a hold of me. You can call me up. My number's everywhere, and we'll line up a time for you. And so I'm going to do a few today. So let's see. I started writing, and I didn't look any further. I've got, if I can find a pen that works, I might be dangerous. Thank you. I've got pens all over my desk. You can't see them. I've got tons of pens like these. They're laying all over my desk, but these are my art pens, and I don't like to use them just to write down notes. So I've got Sterling, you're number 1. And if anybody else in there, I see Sterling, me, says Ron. Ron, I got you down as number 2. And let's see what info. I don't need any info from you to do a reading, by the way. I would rather let the cards speak for themselves. And I'll tell you in a minute the mechanics of what I do and how I do that. Happily Ever After. Happily, are you willing to share your first name with me? Or should I just call you Happily? So if you don't want to share your name, that's okay. If you want to, that's cool. Then I can write down your name here. Let's see. So I'm going to put Happily, by the way, you're number 3. And let's see. Topper. We got you in here. And Mr. Happy Self. Wow. Happy Self. And if you've got a first name, here's the way I see it. It's like, well, if something spiritual is guiding that out there in the universe, they certainly know who you are if you're using a pseudonym for your moniker on Facebook and social media and stuff. So it doesn't matter. It just helps me to know who you are. So let's see. We got Happily. We got Topper. We got, let's see, who else? Jessica. Let's do you. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6. Let's go up to 8 of you right now, because otherwise I won't be able to catch up. So I'm going to have to scroll backwards to try to find where you are. Make sure I didn't miss you. And let's see. We got Audrey, of course. Audrey, that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. Did I miss anybody who asked for one? Let's see. Jessica, I got you down. And let's see. Brianna, let's put you. Okay, there's 8. Okay, let's hold off for a minute and we'll see how this all goes, and I'll call for some more. I don't think we'll run out of time, but I want to make sure that I get everybody in who wants to be in. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what I do and the way I think about tarot is tarot. I always said tarot, and I mentioned this before. Somebody criticized me, said I was being highbrow by saying tarot because it's pronounced tarot. And I said, well, why not call it tarot then? Or tarot. Why is the T silent?
Yeah, I like tarot.
Yeah, Raina likes tarot. So I don't care what you call it. I think that there is something spiritually, universally, that governs everything about us. Govern might be too strict a word. That's like saying is sovereign and makes us do things. No, I think it presides. It's there. It affects our lives. It gives us information. Depending on, I've been talking about belief and what you believe. Do you really believe what you say you really believe? Has been the theme of a lot of what I've been talking about lately on the radio show. So depending on how you believe, I don't want to step on anybody's sensibilities, which tarot might do right away from the start. I know the circles I came up in, this was taboo. You didn't do this. But I started reading right when I was in my seminary days, and because I was curious about it, and I found it to be bloody accurate. And so I think that there is something that governs the flow, the shuffle, the flow, the spread of the cards, and it is what it's supposed to be. And when you think about the intricacies of the universe, of the mind, of the body, of everything that goes on, down to the minutest micro atoms, I mean, it's unbelievable what keeps things holding together. If something can hold that together physically, can something hold that together spiritually? So there's the big question. So I believe that what you get delivered in the cards is a snapshot of the moment. I don't use the cards, though they can be used for this. I don't use them. Yeah, the pendulum, said Brianna. It's homemade, but it's on point. I've seen those. I've had them work. I've told some stories I'll tell again sometime, where Rainey and I were sitting watching a pendulum reading in my house 14 years ago, and it was bloody accurate and weird. So Cordia, I don't think I said hi to you. How you doing? How you doing? And so I believe something manipulates the cards on a spiritual level. And it doesn't matter how I shuffle them. It doesn't matter what happens. I shuffle them to really just realign the cards and let whatever energy is there, if it can hold the universe together on a microscopic, microatomic level, do you think it can shuffle cards around the way it needs to deliver a message? I think so. So here we go. I'm going to start off right away. Let's get into my list. So let's start with Sterling. And Sterling, I'm going to, by the way, I use the Touchstone Tarot. This was done by Kat Black in New Zealand many years ago, and she gave me this deck. And we actually bought a deck, and somebody stole my bag while I was doing a Ghost Hunters event at the Queen Mary. And they got into my room where I was doing readings, private readings, and they stole my bag, they stole my money, they stole presents I had bought for the kids, which were under my table, and along with it went my cards. And she sent me a new deck of cards for free, which was nice of her. But let's see, I'm going to concentrate now on Sterling. That's Macabre over there. If you haven't made the connection there, so here we go. Sterling, I'm going to shuffle 3 times, and then we'll see what comes up for you. We're just going to do a 1-card reading today, unless I feel we need to go more. Sterling, if you were here, now I've shuffled 3 times, I'd have you cut the deck. So I'm going to cut this for you, and that's what we're going to do. Here we are. All right, Sterling, here is your card. All right, we've got, I'm going to hold this up here so you can see it. This is the 9 of Wands. Now, you see that card? I'm going to try to have the light not glare on it so badly. The 9 of Wands. Now, Wands is the suit of your emotional makeup, not your passions. That's Cups, the suit of Cups. The Wands is the stuff you invest yourself in on an emotional level, on a, let's call it the stuff that makes you go. You get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, and you say, God damn, it's good to be alive today because I can't wait to get into my stuff, the stuff that makes me go, the stuff that suits my emotional makeup. It's not necessarily anything to do with, let me say that the other way around. The wands have to do with everything. It's your money, it's your relationships, it's your passions. It's all of that can be wrapped up in it. But wands is all about the creative side of you. And so, Sterling, what this is saying to me, the 9 of Wands is a card that says, I want you to look really close, by the way, at the imagery here. It's different on some of the cards. Or do you see that's not blonde hair hanging down on this forehead? It's a bandage, and that bandage has a little light. And she's carrying this. And what this card says is that you've come out of a time that may have left you a little wounded. You may have felt the pressure, the stress of something. In other words, it's like coming home from battle. And you're now, and you see she's standing in front of the walls. To me, that's symbolic of the walls of your hometown. It's like you're on furlough, on leave, on break. You've come out of it. You got a little wound here, a little bandage, nothing too serious, but you're taking a little break from things. And in some of the decks, by the way, it shows a soldier coming home from battle, and he's got the wound bandaged and the wand in his hand, or the staff, or the stave, whatever you want to call it. And so this is a card that says you're coming home. You've just gone through, prior to, that's my little child running in and out, prior to this card. It's like the stuff that happened. It's like when you watch a movie and it's picking it up with somebody who's gone through something before the story even started. So that's what this is. You're coming home, you're on a break, and you're needing this leave. It's to heal the wounds, to take off the stress, to take off the pressure, because you've come through something. And now you're home on break. Time to take a deep breath of home. is what this is. But it also bears with it the idea that you may not be done yet. You may not be out of the woods with this thing yet, but you've got a break. You're at a time where you don't have to worry about what's going on around you for a while. You can take a break. And this is all about, I used to call it sleeping with one eye open. So the struggles you've already experienced have granted you some stability in the present. And by evaluating the reactions of others around you, your progress will be made a whole hell of a lot smoother. But this tactic isn't going to lead to something, get this, not sustainable ease. It's not going to be something that lasts forever. And it could be that you're looking for or need or are getting the encouragement of friends, overcoming challenges that you face. There's a little bit of an idea of thinking into the future with this card, that there are inevitable conflicts that are still approaching. The having come through something doesn't mean you're out of it, but you can overcome them. In order to succeed, you have to rely on your inner strength. And you don't have to sacrifice your values, by the way, for the sake of short-term gains. And so this is who you are, where you are right now, what you're doing. And I hope that makes some sense for you. There you go, brother. Audrey says, yo, Rainey. Yo, Rainey. Oh, I see her. Hey, Rainey. Thanks for joining the chat room.
You're welcome.
You should come over here and say hi.
No, I don't have any makeup on.
She doesn't have any makeup on. Hey, everybody, are you okay if Rainey comes over without any makeup on and says hello? She just is beautiful. Uh-huh.
What are you doing?
I've got my one little daughter here. Step up here. Here, you can say hi. You don't see much of this one.
Trying to figure out how to step
Here's Rowan. There's Rowan Claire. Guess what? In 3 days, she's going to be 8 years old. So, how you doing?
What are these for?
Oh, these are cards. I'm doing some readings for people. Okay, Mom's going to come over now. She got a sore foot today. She strained something in her muscles. So here's Rainey coming over.
I'm only coming over because I'm going to show what I'm working on.
Yeah, there you go.
This is what I'm painting.
Rainey's working on, this is a new journal. She does her journal. See right here, on here. You go over to etsy.com/shop/Mama Hathor's Studio.
Yeah.
And you can see all her stuff she does.
See, I'm in my PJs, no makeup, my hair's not done. I'm so beautiful.
What does she say? Rainey Roberts, why don't we have blue wrenches?
I don't know. Why don't we have blue wrenches?
That's a damn good question. So I couldn't tell you.
Is this a joke? What?
I don't know. Maybe it's a joke. So, yeah, awesome.
You're awesome. Mhm.
Her book too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on a bunch of stuff. So soon it'll
All
all be
right.
up.
All right. Let's see. Brianna says, I never wear makeup. Do it. Do it.
I wear makeup. See, you can see it stretched all the way out that way.
Yeah.
It's Sunday. I don't have to get dressed and I don't have to put makeup on.
That's right. We don't have anywhere we have to go today except right here. Okay, Sterling, we're done. Let's move on to Ron Frisbee. How you doing, Ron Frisbee? Brother artist. You should go take a look at his, I think his Facebook page. I'm pretty sure, but I can't remember, Ron, because I haven't talked to you about it for a long time. If you have a website of your work, if you do, throw it up in there in the chat room. He's got a website. He does fantastic artwork. Stuff I look at and I go, God, I wish I could do that. So, yeah, he's, go take a look at Ron's stuff. Ron, gonna get you going here. He's working on one right now. By the way, the reason I have pens all over my desk, I've been working on these graphic novels. And so I'll show a page. This is one I just penciled. I just penciled this the other day. This is for, it's out of the middle of the story. So this is one of there are Rainy post for me there at the bottom. But so this is a penciled page. It's a sci-fi author's. It's his award-winning sci-fi novel. And I'm still in the middle of doing that. And when they're inked, when I ink them, Now, this isn't exactly how it turned out in the end, but like this. Here's an inking. That was the inking for the front cover. And of course, I do a lot of digital stuff with it on the front cover. I'll show you one more inked page so you get an idea. There's some cool pages here. Let's see. Stuff like this. Here we go. Some of you on my show, I may have shown these off, but inked pages like these. And so now this doesn't have the official lettering done yet. It's still in there in pencil just for placeholders. But yeah, this is the stuff I ink. And so that's why I got pens sitting all over my desk right now. So there we go. All right. Let me get things back in order here on my stand. All right. There you go. Thanks, Ron. Let's get your card going here. All right. I'm going to, I don't think I'm going to shuffle for every reading, but I am going to split the deck for you here. So let's cut the deck for Ron. And like this. Okay, Ron, here's your card. Right off the top of the deck, I got the 5 of Cups. All right. Now, you see that card? 5 of Cups. This one she showing a guy that looks like he's a judge or a magistrate or something. Somebody who has judgment is what this is talking about. And you see he's got 5 cups. He's got 2 cups standing and 3 cups tipped over. Now, the cups is this is the suit of your passions, your romances, your relationships, your close things, the things that you love the most, in other words, is what these are all about. And the cups has to do with, many times you see cups and you think almost immediately of relationship and that this is about relationship. But it doesn't necessarily have to be about a specific relationship. It could be about, the romantic life that you lead altogether. And don't smirk if you don't have one. But I've always seen this card in readings as being, remember, there's the 3 are tipped over and the 2 are left standing. It's the idea of you have gone through loss of some kind on that passion level, on that relationship level. Something, it doesn't necessarily mean the end of a relationship. It means something's there's been a problem with something or the possible end of something. It doesn't tell me exactly. What it tells me is that you're grieving over the loss of 3 cups. Now, that may not be overt. You may not walk around with your emotions on your sleeve and everybody goes, oh, Ron's grieving over something in his passions. It's not necessarily overt, although it could be. But it's showing that whatever the loss is in relationship, it could be in, passion, love of job, love of different things in life. It could be children. It could be something like that. But it's what your passions and relationships and romance are all built on. Something has tipped over 3 cups and spilled out the wine. And the idea with this card is that this guy is making judgments and judgment calls based on the 3 tipped over cups without looking at the fact that he's still got 2 left standing over here. And so in the past with this, it's kind of that urge to try to keep something new is a result of a disappointment, a dissatisfaction that you've experienced, something that's let you down. So like I say, it doesn't have to necessarily be relationship, but you've been let down by something that governs your passions. You might have a current sadness, and that sadness is an expression of all these failed expectations that have gone on. And in the present, this card is telling you to explore alternative paths that you discover. But if you avoid the truth about what has happened or where you could go, it's going to be really difficult to create any sustainable satisfaction for yourself. An error on your part in the future could lead you to something regretful if this pertains to something that you're in the midst of and hasn't fully manifested yet. And you have to be ready to repair the damage that you've caused, and more importantly, to forgive yourself. So the whole idea with this is something that is very focused on feeling disappointed by something, let down by something possibly brewing, and that you're fixated on the 3 tipped over cups without really taking good notice of the 2 left standing up. So this is a card that says, go ahead and feel the grief for things or feel the sting of the disappointment, but at the same time realize you can step right out. You still got 2 full cups. And all you got to do is work those, and you can tip the other cups back up and refill them. Hope that makes sense. All right. 5 of cups for you. There you go, Ron. Fantastic artist, folks. Got to go see his stuff. All right. Who we got next? Happily. I didn't check to see if you ever gave me your name up here. So I'm going to call you Happily. And let's see if that's it. There was another Happy in there, so I got to see what your full name is. You probably know who you are. So I just want to make sure I'm clear on it. And am I seeing it? Is it coming up? My happy self is a girl, and then there's a happily ever after. That's who we're talking about now. Happily ever after. Happy self. We'll talk to you in a little bit. You're a few down the line here. 2 more down the line. Happily, this one's for you. So happily ever after. Here we go. All right. There you go. All right. Let's shake this up a little and see what we get for you. Let's do a cutting of the cards for you. Boom, boom, and boom. If you were here, I'd have you do that. I'm doing this on your behalf. And keep in mind, folks, like I said at the beginning, what this is all about, this is about the universe, God, your angels, your spirit guides, spirits that are sharing messages with you, however you want to view that. All right, happily ever after. You know what? I'm going to shuffle this instead, rather than just cutting it. The only reason I'm doing that, I just pulled the same card that I got for Sterling. That ended up on top again, but I didn't shuffle in between. So I just cut the deck. So I'm going to see if it comes up with a similar message. Let's see if we get a fresh card for you. And you could have some of the same meaning of that that 9 of Wands that says it's time to take a break because you're coming out of something. But be mindful because you might go right back into it. All right, here we go. All right, let's try this. Boom, new card. All right, you got the 3 of Wands. Okay, it's a similar message, interestingly enough, because we had that 9 of Wands for Sterling at the beginning, and I reshuffled because I wanted to get you a different card to see if we came up with anything similar. And this is somewhat similar. If you see this shows a guy standing there in his finery. He's at the he's at the docks. You see out in the background, there's a boat that's taking off from the wharf down here, and he's there. It's the wands. It has to do with, again, your emotional makeup, the things that make you go, the things that pertain to everything in your life, that are the things that make you happy, the things that make you do what you want to do. And it shows him here, and the boat is out in the water. Obviously, it's out there in the harbor, and it's taking off. And the idea is with this card, yay, happily ever after. You are going to live happily ever after. Your boat has come in, and it's time for you to be able to express that and live it. Except this. You've got all your stuff. You're there at the wharf. Some cards show him standing on the wharf with his luggage around him and the boat taking off. The idea is your boat's come in, but you missed it. And so there it's going without you. And so you're forced to stand there in a bit of bewilderment saying, why did I miss my boat? Why are these good things happening and now I can't experience them? I'm stuck on the wharf. And I got I got to wait for the next boat now. And so the idea with this is that something good has happened to you. Something's come to fruition. The things that drive you, make you go, something perhaps that you've worked on has come to fruition. And so much so that it feels like your boat's come in and your efforts have established this foundation for some phenomenal success in the things that make you happy. And the warning is you got to maintain your resourcefulness and keep efficiency at the heart of your drive forward, because it's saying this is happening, but now, oops, there's a little parenthetical put in here. You're going to have to wait for it to come to fruition. And so it might be you're looking for, okay, it could be like this. You've got a business idea. This is just an example. Business idea going, everything's working fine. All you lack is the money. You got all the public support, all of this and then, yeah, we'll buy that if you make it. And all you need is the money from the investor. And so the investor says, yeah, I'll do that. And you're like, yes, we're ready to go. And then he goes, but I can't do it till next quarter. And you're like, oh, God damn it. So it's something of that nature. So it's almost like there's an offer that may bring help to a project or an idea of yours. And it doesn't have to be monetary or financial. It could be in some other way. So don't delay accepting it is the idea. The opportunity to interact with someone with greater resources than you is going to lead to longer term success in this whole thing. And the work ahead with this is going to pose an intellectual or a mental challenge to you. The waiting period itself may pose a challenge to you. So in order to succeed, you have to be able to think creatively or invent a path forward or something like that, or find the best way to utilize your time and your resources while you're waiting on the dock for the next boat to come. And so there you are. That's your 3 of Wands. And it says to me that something's going on that needs a little help, and that help might be available, but you're at a standstill until you either ask for it or you wait for it to happen, monetarily, emotionally, relationally, anything like that. So hope that makes sense for you. All right. All right. Jason says, I wonder if the full card would be drawn again for me. Maybe. There's no mistakes. So the way I would tie this in is if I drew the 9 of Wands for Happily Ever After, I could have read that and said the same thing. You've come through some difficulties. There's been disappointments. Now it's time to take a break, let things heal, get back to normal. But watch out, you're going to enter the fray again. Instead, she got a card that says, you've done well. There's recognition. You might need some help along the way. You might be stuck in the situation you're in, standing on that wharf with all your shit around you, and you missed the boat. But the next boat's coming. So don't fret. It's coming. It's just going to take a little while. So Happily Ever After, you are very welcome. Here we go. Next on the list, I've got Topper, front and center. And then I've got Happy Self. You're on deck. So Topper first, then Happy Self. Let me do a little shuffling here again. I'm going to shuffle this one time. And then we're going to cut the deck and see where we end up. Topper, if you were here, I'd have you cut the deck yourself. And so here we are, cutting on your behalf. In the good way. All right, Topper, here is your card. The Fool. Don't take that personally. All right, the Fool card. Now, the Fool card, you can see in a lot of the decks, like the old Rider-Waite, you see he's on the edge of a cliff and he's walking and he's looking at the sunshine and the clouds and singing a happy tune. He's got his kit bag over his shoulder. And his next step is going to take him off the edge of the cliff. So the little dog is down at his feet barking, warning him. And so you've seen, he's here. Doesn't show him walking off a cliff here. It shows a cliff in the background, but there he is. He's playing his happy tune. He's got his dog next to him. All that stuff is going on. Now, the Fool card, where I say, don't be offended by that. The Fool doesn't mean you're being foolish or you are the manifestation of the fool or anything like that. It just means that you are satisfied with life. The things that you're engaging in are really putting you in a position where you're like, wow, my head's in the clouds a bit. And all it's saying to you is watch. You can do that. You can enjoy that. You can enjoy some of the successes that have come along. But at the same time, mind where your feet are falling, because where you're walking could lead you off the edge of a cliff if you're not careful. So you have to watch the direction you take with this stuff that's got you mesmerized with happiness, or we're singing the happy tune or whatever. And it's just saying the risks that you've taken and your original thinking have brought you to a place of success. And by doing things in a new way, you'll have allowed for really much greater potential. And one of the things you got to do, and something I'm always bad at, is I rush into things sometimes, the euphoria of getting something done, of achieving something, and then later I find the pitfalls along the way. So this is saying the Fool card, this is part of the major arcana, by the way. The major arcana, there are the 4 suits, the wands, the swords, the cups, and the coins, all representing different aspects of life. The major arcana are these cards of more, when you get these cards, it's like God snapping his fingers in your face, or the universe, or whoever you look to, saying, hey, listen to this. This is of a little higher nature than the daily stuff. And so this is telling you that at this moment, you might be entering a new phase of life. The experience of this change might seem good, might seem bad for now, but its influence is going to be a lot clearer in the future. You might have to have your head up here and you're looking at the happiness of where you want to go, but you're not minding where your feet are falling. And you might have that little dog, metaphoric dog, that's barking at your feet saying, yo, master, Lassie here. One more step, you're going off the edge of a cliff. And so you've got to listen to the metaphoric dog. You have to assess the risks. And that's crucial to making all your right choices. And in order to succeed with whatever this is, you have to find new ways to bring about the achievement of your goals. When the opportunity comes, you have to be willing to shed old habits. And if it never comes, it might be time to create it within yourself with new methods. So this is all about what you bring to the table and how you take your next steps and how you look at things. So you've gone through something, Topper, that has left you going, hey, it's okay. I'm going all right. But you might be so all right with it that you're singing the happy tune, looking at the beautiful pictures in the clouds, and not minding where your feet are going. And so listen to the warnings, take the precautions, all of that that's necessary to keep you going on the right path. There you go. Hope that makes sense. And Jason says, I'm always walking on the edge. In a good way, though. You have to. Right, Jason? You got to walk on the edge. If you're not walking on the edge, I think you're living a boring life. Now, don't get me wrong. If you like a quiet, boring life, folks, ain't nothing wrong with that. If that's where you find the most joy in your life, then do it by all means. Also, if you have, I can't help but bring up my moniker, and you've heard me say it a million times. Don't get bored with it. Accept it. Mark Twain said, 20 years from now, you'll regret more the things you didn't do than the things you did do. So, cast off from the safe harbor. Set your sails to the trade winds. Explore, dream, discover. And this is what I think life is all about. If you find yourself trapped in, and by the way, some people like this, so I'm not trying to offend anybody or say you have to do one thing or another, but if you feel like I'm trapped, I'm working, I'm coming home, I'm doing this, And life has lost its luster. And we end up moving through life doing the things that maybe lack the luster we want. So we try to find it in other places. And yet we're stuck there because we find security there, or it's a safe bet, or whatever it might be. And what we don't do is we don't step out and do the things that we really want to be doing. And I don't mean things that are immoral or breaking values or hurting other people. Real things of life. You don't want to get 20 years down the road and say, wish I'd have done that thing back then. Because you know what? It happens. I got some of those things. Just a little later in life, as I was approaching middle age, is when that finally hit me. And yes, there are positive obligations. I have familiar pack and say, I'm going for 6 months. See ya. Because it affects my wife and my kids. So there are things, there are obligations we take on. But why not find a way to make it work for them as well? So there you go. That's what that's all about. And so, Jason, yeah, I'm right on the same page with you. And Topper, you're welcome. Yeah, we all get a little complacent. It's easy to do. Make life exciting. Make it an adventure. Do things. Do the things you want to do. And I've used this example of going to Egypt. I've been to Egypt 4 or 5 times. 4 times. And a 5th I was supposed to go, and I didn't. That's when by the way, that's when I had my heart attack and my heart surgery 2.5 years ago. I was supposed to go to Egypt. Imagine if I'd have been there when that happened. I'd be at the hands of black rubber gloved doctors who are also your barber and your jewelry maker. So I jest a little bit, but I wouldn't want to have had a heart attack and needed open heart surgery while in the deserts of Egypt. So all that to say is that I wanted to go there, and I thought, I'll never get there. Never be able to do it. I say the same thing about Israel right now. I've never been to Israel, and I want to go. I want to do some filming there. I want to do some stuff there. I want to do some writing there. And the only reason we stop going is why? What are the excuses we use? Let's say it's your thing. What excuses do we use? Money, time, vacation time, family, whatever it might be. You know what? Sit down and write things down. Say, here are the goals. These are the things I want to do. And then write down the reasons why you're not doing them. Then write down the things you could be doing that would help you achieve those things, despite the reasons you can't. Find out ways to make them work. Find out creative ways to make it work. Life is, and you know what? One of these days, God willing, if you, let's say you live to the ripe old age of 85 or 90 or 95, and you look back, what are the things that you're going to say, I wish I'd have done those things? And then you got to ask yourself, now looking forward to that, why do I want to get to that place and say, I wish I'd have done that? Now, it might be different. 30 years, I wish I could have done Demi Moore. But I never did. Do I have regrets about that? Not really. Because she wasn't in my circle of influence. Maybe till the day I'm 106, should I live so long. Maybe I'll say, damn it, I regret that I never got to do Demi Moore. But, maybe it was never meant to be. So that's not the stuff I'm talking about. I'm making light. So look at the things that you have to do or that you want to do and find out how to make them happen. That's what life is for. Life is not for making sure you're making your company money by doing your job, although jobs are necessary. Life is about making sure you're doing what's right for you. I'm going to suggest a fantastic movie. It's not necessarily on this point, but maybe you've seen this movie. It was a remake. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. The new version with Ben Stiller. That came out a few years ago. I've seen that a couple of times. Incredible incredibly moving. And it's going to bring this message up with you. And it's got a lot of other messages as well. It's not the same as the old, what was it? Who was it? Jimmy Stewart that did that movie back in the 40s or the 30s or something? One of the old screen legends, but it's the new version. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Go find it and go watch it. If you got nothing you're doing this afternoon, Sunday afternoon, throw that in and watch it. All right, Topper, you're done. I hope that helped. Happy Self, a girl, as you said, because I asked. Happy Self, let me shuffle this up for you. I hope you're still front and center there. And who's on deck after Happy Self? Jessica, you'll be next after Happy Self. So Happy Self, here we go. I'm going to shuffle for you. And by the way, it's been a trusty old deck for me. I've had this deck of cards since 2008. So that gives you an idea. I've had this for 11 years. That's a good deck to me. Maybe I had to break out one of my other decks one of these days. I used the Golden Tarot before that, which was created by the same person who created these. All right, I'm going to cut this deck for you. Happy Self. And then draw your card. All right, you ready? Here we go. All right, what we've got here is the Knight of Coins. Now, the Knights and coins, by the way, let me tell you about the suit of coins. And you see it up in the corner there. Other decks, it's pentacles. But something about the suit of coins, this is the suit that has to do with your financial well-being, your material things. And I like to always say, well, it's got a coin on it. It doesn't necessarily always have to mean physical dollars or coins that are coming into your coffers, although many times that's what it refers to, because you are in the suit of coins. But the idea with this is that it's the material nuts and bolts of life, the things that make you go, the things that keep your boat floating, so to speak, and the roof over your head. All of these things are in the suit of coins. Now, the knights, there's 4 knights in the deck, one for each of the suits, the coins, the cups, the wands, and the swords. And those knights are deliverers of messages. They are errands of the king, so to speak. That's what a knight was. A knight was somebody who did the deeds of the king, did the messages of the king, and so on. They were the knights errant. And the idea with this is all the knights in some of the older decks I've used, the knights are all sitting on horses. This one doesn't show a horse in this particular deck. It just shows the knight himself. And the horses were the symbol that the knight is moving. He's always doing something. He's always on a mission. Yeah, he's the messenger. He's the doer of things. And all the horses were in movement, 3 of them anyway, except this one. The Knight of Coins horse, he was standing still. And here it just shows him he's still. He's looking, he's dressed in his knightly finery, standing still. And the idea with the knight is that he's saying that there is movement to be made, movement that is happening with you, but you're standing still because the Knight of Coins says either you are or you need to apply meticulousness, slowness, plodding, P-L-O-D-D-I-N-G, plodding. You've got, and plotting, P-L-O-T-T-I-N-G. You've got to plan your work, then work your plan. The idea with the Knight of Coins is that he doesn't make a move without knowing the landscape. He'll be sitting on the hilltop surveying the landscape, the battle, the wherever, before he enters in. And then he enters in by moving his horse slowly, meticulously, ploddingly. It means you have to apply meticulousness to movement that is going on right now. Your ambitions, your idealism, all of those things of your past is going to bring you success to move forward into your newer ideas. And you're in the process of, this is You're in the process of developing new ideas, perhaps new hobbies, new occupations, things like that. And in the very present with this card, it's saying there's news coming that portends the arrival of change, of movement, of moving from, it could be job. It's coins. It might have to do with the nuts and bolts of your material life. It could be the change of a job, that you're moving from one job to another job. And it's saying, but make your decisions. Don't just jump and make your decisions smartly. Now, that could take you 15 minutes to be meticulous. It could take you 15 days, whatever it is. This is something that's not happening immediately anyway, but it's calling on you to prepare, to evaluate risks, rewards, and all of that stuff of any new venture that you're setting out on. And at the same time, you're going to gain insight into your future. If you remain attentive and you're studious of the signs around you, you meticulously look at the nuts and bolts of the workings of this thing and how it affects your life, everything you need to know is available to you right now. But you have to take time to understand it for later. So you are the Knight of Coins right now. That tells me good things are in movement for you. If you don't recognize them as good things yet, you need to look at that. And let me use an example. I'm not saying this is what's happening with you. I'm going to use an example of what I mean. Let's say I'm getting divorced, which I'm not, but let's say I'm getting divorced. And my wife wants to divorce me because she needs somebody who's better at this or that, wants to move on, or I made mistakes, whatever it is. So I'd be sitting here grieving over the loss of my marriage and my wife. And I'd be saying, what a stupid thing. That just didn't work. But in reality, maybe it would end up being a good thing for me, a good thing for her, a good thing at the very end of it all. While we're in the midst of the thing, I've got this quote on my wall here that you can't see it in this picture. Here, it's sitting over here. I don't want to move things. My young daughter, a few years ago, did a drawing of Samwise Gamgees and Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings. And it says on here, she put this quote at the bottom from the movie, and it's partially from the book. How can we go back to good things, asks Frodo, when so much bad has happened? That's the feeling here if you're coming out of something and changing into something better and new. How can we move into something better when so much bad has happened? And Frodo's answer is, he says that we recognize that there is good in this world and that it's worth fighting for. And that was his answer to him. And so it's I'm not saying you're coming out of terrible. I'm saying the potential is that there were terrible things that weren't working for you, and you're moving into something new. And this is saying use all your smarts, all your intelligence, everything you know to make a slow, meticulous decision that makes sense before you go galloping in, because it's coming. Something new's coming. There's movement right now for you. And it's just saying use your common sense as you move forward. There you go. Hope that works for you. I hope that meant something for you. All right. Jessica, you're up. And Audrey, you're on deck. And Brianna, you'll be after Audrey. Those are the last three that are on my list right now. We might be able to do a few more after that. Let's see where we end up. So Jessica, let me shuffle this deck for you. And by the way, Happy is who I just read. Happy Self. I hope that was something that meant something to you. All right, let me shuffle up for Jessica. All right. Hey, Melinda. Welcome. All right. Going to reshuffle for Jessica. And then I'm going to cut the deck which I would have you do if you were here. You could put your hand to the deck. And since you're not here, I will do that on your behalf. All right. Here we go. I'm going to cut this deck. We're going to go like this. All right. Here we go. Here's your card, Jessica. I've got the 2 of Wands for you. There. I got to tip it so the light doesn't blot it out. The 2 of Wands. We're doing a lot in wands this morning. Wands are those things that have to do, again, with your emotional makeup, the stuff that makes you go, the stuff that like I'll repeat what I said earlier, because I've said this for years. It's that stuff that when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you go, yes, I am happy to be me today and to be today because I got stuff going on today. Now, let me ask you, Jessica, specifically, and everybody else kind of passively, as I'm talking to Jessica here, do you get up in the morning and look in the mirror and go, yes, it's another day. I've got stuff to do. I've got places to go, things to develop. And so the idea here is with this card, the suit of wands is the stuff that's going on inside you that makes you go, that makes you happy about going, excited about your life because you've cast away from the safe harbor and you've set your sails to the trade winds. You're exploring, you're dreaming, you're discovering. The 2 of Wands, and it's sometimes different decks will show you slightly different images, but I've always viewed this and said it for years as being, this is a wealthy person or a rich person, somebody who's successful, who is standing there and they're holding these 2 staves and they've got the world is out in front of them, the globe, and they've got stuff and they've been able to accumulate things because of their success. I'm not talking about being on top of the heap. That doesn't necessarily. Now, Jessica, you might be, but this could refer to a multi-billionaire who externally seems like they've got what they've achieved. It could mean somebody who's making $10,000 a year or less. And but the idea is that they've got something that's fulfilled inside, but there's still, and as I used to say it a long time ago, we all have this God-shaped vacuum in our hearts that only God can fill. Now, you can say God, you can say whatever your spiritual belief is. There's that vacuum that brings the utter joy and happiness and fulfillment that can only be fulfilled by that thing. And yet we keep trying to plug it with other things. We got all this stuff. I'm trying this, it doesn't fit, and we dump it out. Let's try this, and we pour it in there, and it doesn't fill all the recesses, so we dump it out, and it's empty again. So the idea with this is that the research, the development, the constant application of your skills has led you to progress in life and brought you to an okay place. It might be a very good place. It might be good by other people's standards. Maybe you aren't satisfied with it. Maybe you recognize for what it is and are satisfied with it, but it's made progress for you. And if you intend to arrive at your intended destination, you got to continue to look ahead and to plan. You've got to fill that gap with the right stuff. You've got to do the right R&D in your life, the research and development, to find the things that make you go the right way. And in the very present, this card can stand for a generous offer for help that's coming your way. Now, this isn't in the coins. It's not financial, although it could be financial. It could be material things, but something or somebody is coming along to offer the help that you're looking for. But with your analysis, your development of your ambitions, this influence is going to help you attain fulfillment. It's going to help you get there. It's like when I wanted to use that example again, when I wanted to go to Egypt the first time I went. I thought there's no possible way in hell I can go to Egypt. But I did. I went for a month the first time I went. And I went for a month every other time I went as well. But I linked it to a book that I always wanted to write. And so I made those things happen. And this is the idea here, is making the things happen. Somebody came along, my friend John Ward. Now, he didn't pay for me to go to Egypt. I had to use my own money. But at the same time, that wasn't what it was about. He was the catalyst to go. We decided to write a book together, one that I had always wanted to write. And that was the book, The Exodus Reality, which is sitting over here somewhere. And we wrote that book together. And I traveled to Egypt, and we went all over Egypt for a month back in 2013. You made it happen to make something successful happen was the idea. And so for the future on this, it's kind of this reflection on your own self-awareness that's going to lead you to being successful in whatever this thing is. Trust your intuition, but also be open to help from others. Because sometimes filling the gap, it requires asking the right questions, talking to the right people, doing those things. So there you are. You're standing there. You got stuff. You've got some fulfillment. You got things going for you. Still something not filled here. Find out what's lacking. Find out what's missing. Do a little self-examination. Become really aware of who you are and what goals you want to achieve. And when you put the time to it, that's going to happen. And you're right in the midst of it happening right now. You can look to people for help. There you go, Jessica. Hope that's helpful. All right. Oh, good. Yes, cool and true. Just started my own business and continue to think of new ideas to keep it going. Damn straight. That's the way to make it go. You know what? There's nothing wrong with working for somebody else if that's what you want to do. Maybe somebody's got a great job out there and you want to work for this other person. That's cool. Maybe you don't have what you think it takes to do anything other than work for somebody else. Maybe you're stuck in a job that pays you $10 to $15 an hour and it sucks because you can't make ends meet. Well, what if you stepped out on your own? Look at Jessica. Stepped out on her own. You take some leaps of faith and you do it. Look what I do. Now I started doing what I'm doing. I worked in advertising all the way up until 9/11. And within 2 months after 9/11, the ad agency where I was a creative director, we went from 75 people down to 7 people because most of our clients, good 75% of our business, locked up its budgets, which was one of the big problems after 9/11 in advertising. People just weren't spending the money unless they were huge corporations already spending that money. And so we lost a lot of people. I was number 8 on a list of 7 left. And so I stepped out on my own back then. I looked for a job for a while. I did some consultancy for a little bit for people, but I basically started my own thing back in 2002. I'm sorry, 9/11. 2002. I started my own thing the next year. And I've been doing that ever since. And sometimes it's absolutely golden. And other times I'm biting my nails wondering how I'm going to pay the bills and keep the lights on. I mean, it goes from month to month. So, it's a roller coaster ride, but I'd rather work for myself than anybody else. Unless somebody else like Lucasfilms wants to come along and pay me $1 million a year to do what I do. Then I might go work for somebody. So anyway, Jessica, that's true. She says, stuck in job while I'm working for myself. There it is. And you know what? Sometimes that's what it takes. It takes the catalyst to move forward into something is the thing that's holding you back. It's like stuck in a job. I don't want to be here. I got to be here until I'm ready to be able to go. All right. Audrey, you're next, and then Brianna after her. All right, here we go. I'm going to shuffle up this deck for Audrey. And then we might be able to take a couple of more after Audrey and Brianna. Here. Let's see where we're at for time. 10:30. Yeah, we got time. All right. Shuffle up. Audrey, this is for you. Front and center, girl. And by the way, it was great seeing Audrey when she was here a couple of weeks ago, and we did the paranormal investigation over at the festival grounds. And she came along. Rocky and I did the Fort Snelling and the site of the old concentration camp there. Just did some voice. If you had not heard how that ended, folks, I'll tell you in a little bit here. All right, I'm shuffled up for you, Audrey. If you were here, I would have you put your hands to this and cut the deck on your own. I'm going to do that for you right now. Cutting the deck for Audrey. All right, here we go. All right, Audrey, I got the 10 of cups for you. Look at that card. Now you tell me, does that look like a positive card or a negative card? Thank you, Jessica. You're welcome, Jessica, by the way. That look like a positive or a negative card for you, Audrey. That is one of the more positive cards in the deck. And this one has to do, again, it's the cups. If you see the cups there, where the cups are, I got to come over my mic stand here. The cups have to do with your passions, the things in life that drive you romantically, relationally, all the kinds of things linked with passions of the heart that come along. That's what this card is. And the 10 in any suit, remember the progression of numbers going up, 10 is about as fulfilled as you can get before you start getting into the royal face cards. And this is the idea. Look at this. It's got a man and his wife and their kids and their dog and the rainbow and 10 golden goblets floating in the air above their heads. This is all about contentment, about happiness, about finding some place to be where things are feeling fulfilled. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you got the right guy in your life. It doesn't necessarily mean everything is happy and everything is good. What it means is that your passions are bringing you to a place in a life where you can take a little confidence in your direction. You can follow your deepest convictions. You've been propelled forward, is the idea, by the passions that are your passions in life. This commitment and your comfort with authority have allowed room for recognition, success to all manifest in your life. And this is all about the possibility of a new undertaking about to begin for you. Not even the possibility. I'm going to step out and say there's something new that's going to start for you. It's a task. It's an event. It's a journey that's going to bring about the beginning of a very long-lasting friendship, possible relationship. And don't miss this opportunity, is the idea with this in the very present. You, as well as me and everybody I know, this is what we want out of life, whether we know it or not. We want this. We want that happiness. We want the stuff that fulfills us, the stuff that makes us feel whole and happy and just, damn it, I look in the mirror and say, God damn it, this is a good day. And I'm stepping up because things are the way that I want them to be. That's what this card is about. And it's leading to a future with this card of saying the potential for financial success is going to present itself through some aspect of possibly property ownership. It's the family, the dog, all of that. It's saying family, village, or not village, home, life, yard, all comes up. It's finding domestic happiness, prestige in your work, your public work, the things you put yourself to. And despite the difficulty, balancing both at once is really possible. This whole thing of home life, property, gaining material, putting down certain roots a certain way, working toward that, and prosperity at work, recognition in public life, and so on. All these things are possible, and all these things can happen for you. And this is something that says right now, And by the way, the blue, she uses colors in her deck. Blue is representative of water. Emotion is about the waters around us. Emotion is where, or water is where the emotion flows. If you look at the cards like the star in the major arcana, it's got the perfection of this is she's pouring the waters of emotion between two different vessels representing different aspects of life. This is one that says your life and the things that you're after are reaching that stage where you've got it, whether you realize it or not. There's this certain having gained something, but now more is coming, and you've got to be open to that coming. You've got to do the things that are necessary, because it not only deals with your emotions, deals with your passions. So this is a really good card to have. Now, at the same time, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but when you see a card like this, Audrey, this is a snapshot. This is today. You might get something totally different a few days down the road, depending on what you do. And so it's how you act on the things that you know are coming, the things you know are happening. Invest yourself in them, as long as you know you're investing in the things for your life. So there you go. Well, I'm sorry it made you cry, but if it's good tears, that's good. So there you go, Audrey. That's where you are right now. Hope that's helpful. Let's see. Brianna, you are up now. Here we go. Brianna, you're still in the room. You are on deck. I'm going to start shuffling for you. Oh, it's good to hear, Audrey. It's a snapshot for sure, she says. All right, let's shuffle up here. All right, this is for Brianna. There you are. I see you. Oh, Audrey, I'm so happy. I'm glad. All right, Brianna. I am going to take this deck now, and I am going to cut it on your behalf. If you were here, I'd have you do it. So here we go. Cutting for you. Here we go. Here's your card. Your card is the 8 of coins. Now look at this guy. Sitting, look at his table. He's sitting working on stuff. He's got the tools of his trade hanging on the wall. He's got the 8 coins. He's wearing the more Renaissance era, if you will, outfit of the scholar, the one who is learning. Now, coins are the suit of your prosperity, the material things of your life, the nuts and bolts of life. And where it doesn't pertain to financial matters, it pertains to things that are about the well-being of the nuts and bolts of your material life. Now, this particular card, it's got, like I said, it's got the guy, he's sitting there. He is going back to, it looks like what this really means, he's going back to school. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean institutionalized education. It might just mean he's going back to training, education. It could be education. He's trying to find a way to make what he knows work in a different area of life, so to speak. It's something that he's prepping himself for something new. The skills that you've mastered already are going to lead you to success down the road. Continue developing, and you're going to reach a moment of epiphany. And by developing your talents, you're going to find success in your efforts. Investing yourself in the now is going to lead to greater rewards later. What this card is saying, Brianna, it's saying you might have some opportunities that are on your doorstep that are either because of what you know and you bring to the table already, but you need to know a little bit more. You need to develop something in a certain area. You need to, it's like this. when I was a creative early on in my advertising days. I was an art director. Well, I had the opportunity to be a creative director for another company, and it paid a hell of a lot more money, but it all depended on whether or not I could also develop my artistic skills, creative skills, to kind of spill over into technical side of things. This is when they had all the big craze in internet and internet development and all of that, and they were looking for people that they didn't want to hire two people. They wanted to hire one person who had it all. Well, I hadn't done all that study yet, so I had to really put my nose to the grindstone and study the technical side of what I did for implementation into a web presence. It's like that. I'm using that by way of example to say you're already skilled. You're already recognized for your skill. It's already getting you forward. But at the same time, it's saying develop those skills so you can take the next step or the new offer that's coming, something like that. So there it is. Put your nose to the grindstone. Get yourself ready. Don't miss any opportunities by developing what you got. Let's see. Dang, I'm a business owner. Oh, wait, that's Brianna. Yeah, that's Brianna. I'm a business owner transitioning into a different career. I eventually want to own a daycare, a cleaning business. Damn, Scotty. And she says, thanks. Well, you are welcome. And Rainey, I'm sure if she's reading out there, she left the office, so she's out there somewhere with the kids. So I hope that meant something for you. This is all about developing your skills, developing who you are, what you want to do, where you want to go. Because sometimes what we know and the laurels we have that have been thrown at our feet that we wear and say, yeah, I've been successful, bitches. It might not be that you'll be successful tomorrow because there's new ways to go with it. So you got to keep developing it. So there you go. Good. I'm glad that was helpful. That's my list of people. And we don't have a certain amount of time we have to do to this, but do with this today. But if you're out there, I got room for a few more. Tell me right now, if you told me somewhere along the way, I might have missed it in the chat room and I'd have to scroll back and read it. So if you would like me to read a card for you, I can take maybe 3 more and we'll do 3 more of you today. So if you're listening and want to have that done. So all of this stuff with tarot, KT Emma. How you doing, Kay? Number 1 on my new list here. And Jeannie, how you doing? I think we still have a reading to do for you. If memory serves, that I'm not mixing you up with anybody else, a reading to do for you. And we're going to do a full reading. We're going to do it publicly. I won't do that today because that'll take us at least an hour to do. Let's plan that for Jeannie. If you're going to be around, let's try to do that next Sunday. Oh, wait, I'm out of town next Sunday. Sometime this week or next week, we'll get to yours, Jeannie, and we'll do it online. Folks, I'm going to do a full 10-card reading for Jeannie, and we'll do it in public. So she asked for that. And you don't owe me, Mom. That's Becky, right? I got you in there, and Cordia. Okay, there's the 3 I'm going to do right now. Oh, let's see. As long as we got Morgan, let's do you too, Morgan. So we got 4 on here. 4 of you on deck. All right. Yep, 1 for you and 1 for Susie Q. Okay. Yep, that's what we'll do. We'll get those now that I'm going to be making some time to doing these online. Let's do them that way. All right. And yeah, Leslie, I'm still alive. Good to see you. Got back from your morning run. Oh, that's okay if you missed it. You know, we're just doing some readings this morning, doing a little talking and chatting in between. And I'm glad you're here, Leslie. It's good to see you. So, all right. Let's go with Kay. Kay, I'm going to jump right into yours right now. All right, Kay. I'm going to shuffle this up for you. And we'll see where it goes. Now, you know, there are critics of the tarot that are out there and say, well, there's only 3 to 5 questions that people ever ask. And so it's going to be one of them. I got to tell you, I'm not making anything up. I'm just going with what the card says. And if I get any intuitional, psychic type of messages, I just let them come out as I'm talking. I don't even identify it as that. I've always said I'm not a psychic. I just do what the cards say. And I'll let you know. All right, Kay, I'm going to cut this deck for you. If you were here, and let you cut this deck. But since you aren't, do it for you. All right, here we go. Well, if I can pick that up off my desk, there we go. All right, Kay, here we are. This is your card, the Ace of Swords. And in some decks, I've got one deck where it shows all the aces are angels. Now, that's this deck, and there's another deck I have. And you see this is also an angel as represented here by the Ace of Swords. And swords, that is the suit that is indicative of strength, conflict you get, and conflict you give. So it's got a couple of different aspects to the sword. The sword's two-edged. In other words, metaphorically, you can be very cutting with it, or it can cut you. So you have to be careful how you proceed with things. And so this the aces in the deck are also always something that brings ideas of new things that you have to be engaging in. And it's like they're all standing, and this ace is no different, standing at the open door with the door flung wide, saying, this is the direction you should go. I can't make you go. I can't do it for you, but I'm opening the door for you. And I'm announcing it. And this particular ace is saying you fought in the name of something good. You've added your idealistic energy to a worthy cause. The sword indicates conflict. The sword indicates fighting. The sword indicates, let me see, she's gripping the sword here tightly. That you've got a grasp on that sword. You're kind of leading your own energy in this. And the events of the recent past have set unchangeable events in motion. Now, by saying that, I'm going to admit that everything we do in our past sets unchangeable things in motion. Sometimes they're changeable things. Sometimes they're unchangeable things. Every action we take has a consequence. Every battle we fight has a win, lose, or draw to it. Everything we do sets us up for change, for at least changing the moment. And this is a card that says you're entering a new phase of life, and everything is going to change for you, Kay. The causes, the results of the change aren't even certain yet. But at this period is going to reveal many things to you about you. And I'm going to say, when I see the sword, I want to say that it's something that's risen out of conflict, or that has been something you have had to fight for to get there. And the onus is on you right now to put your creative thought into action. And it's going to require some courage on your part. It might require stepping out and doing things that you don't normally do. And you're going to have to, with the sword, defend your position, defend who you are, defend what you're about. But you're going to be able to overcome the longest odds if that's what you want to do, if that's where you want to be. It reminds me of, and you know very well, as so do most of the listeners, my background, theology, ministry. There was a time when I was still in ministry, and I was facing some really dire situations. I would say they were downright, not just discouraging. What's the other word I'm looking for? I felt just beaten down and defending my own. And it was in a divorce situation, a custody situation. And I fought and fought and fought. And there was one day I put the test out there, which I don't do. I never told people that they ought to do this. I've always kind of taught against this. I was going to put God to the test. And I said, I remember in kind of a bit of despondency, I said, okay, God, I'm going to do something I've never done. I'm going to flip open my Bible and I'm going to put my finger in it. And wherever it lands, I'm going to put faith that you will point me to something. Now, I'm not saying you have to do this, that this is the way to do it. I'm giving a description of how I faced a similar situation that would involve the Ace of Swords. And I poked my finger in, I just flipped it and I poked my finger in, and I ended up in the book of James in the New Testament. And First James, and I don't have it in front of me. And I don't think I have, no, I don't. I don't have a Bible on my shelf by the desk. There's one up in my other bookshelves. But it said this, it says, if any of you, and Kay, I'm saying this to you personally, take this. I don't know what your faith is. I'm not doing this to promote a certain faith, but to promote the thoughts of spirituality in this. Is that it said, if any of you is facing various tests, trials, tribulations, I think it may have used, difficulties in your life right now, consider it a pure joy. Because when you are tested, this is when your real self, your faith life, your beliefs are pushed out into the open, forced into the open to show their true colors. And you're going to start really realizing where you stand and what you believe. And it also says in there, it says, for those of you who believe in God, that have God as the center and the focal point of your faith, it says, and if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives freely, uninhibiting, without holding back. But you have to ask, not like a wave of the sea that's driven by the wind and tossed about. But you have to ask knowingly, boldly asking. And so what this card is telling you, I think I already put it back in the deck. This Ace of Swords is saying, you've come through some shit. You've got more shit to go through, and you might be in the shit. But it is something that you know what you're doing, and you know the stand you have to take, and you know the place you have to be. This could be relationship. It could be job. It could be with a family member. There's any number of things this could be. Of course, in our society, it's pretty easy to zero in on one or two. So this is a thing that says you have to make your choice in accordance with what you believe, and then you might have to fight for it. But that it's going to bring about a result that you want if you carry it out the right way. So there you go. I hope that was good for you. I mean, I hope that means something to you, Kay. There's probably a lot more to whatever your situation is, just like in all of these. But it's not something you're going to know until you step out into it. So, all right, Kay, good. I'm glad. I hope that helps. All right. And I'm just going to say to everybody now, too, by the way, I do full readings. If you go to my website, scottallenroberts.com, you go to the tarot link, the tarot link, the tarot link, the tarot link, TAROT. Click on that, and there's a couple of PayPal buttons there for a 5-card reading and for a 10-card reading. If you want to get a full reading, you can go ahead and click on those, make a payment. It goes to my PayPal, and then give me a call, write me a letter, do whatever you need to do, message me, and I can line up a full reading for you. So there you go. All right. And that wasn't just aimed at you, Kay. That was anybody who wants to have a full reading. So it was just a good time to put it in there. All right, let's move on. Becky, Mom, you don't know me, Mom. Is that oh, wait a second. Mom, isn't that I always forget with some of the names that are similar. Where are you? Is that Suze or is that Becky? Let me see. Where are you? I want to make sure I've got the right person on deck here. You don't know me, Mom. I think that's Suze, and I may have said Becky, but is that who asked for a reading? Doot. Okay, see, this is why I ask for them and then write them down, so I don't have to scroll back and try to figure it out. Let's see. There's Kay. I see when Kay asked. Morgan, I got you. Cordia, I got you. Who was the other person that asked? Was that You Don't Know Me, Mom? Help me out, guys. Who was the other person who asked here? There's Kay. You Don't Know Me, Mom. Okay, You Don't Know Me, Mom is who asked. Is that you, Suze? I'm confusing myself. Is that Suze or is that Becky? I think it's Suze. So You Don't Know Me, Mom. You're next anyway. So let's do you right now. You Don't Know Me, Mom. You're up. Here we go. I'm going to shuffle for you. And I don't know why I'd forget something like that. I think I have so much stuff going on in my head. I sometimes can't remember whose moniker is whose, because I got You Don't Know Me, Mom. Somebody else, it's You Don't Know Me or something, and I get all confused as to whose name goes with what. Sometimes there's a picture to go along, and I got it. But so, You Don't Know Me, Mom. Yeah, it's Suze. There you go. Thanks, John. I thought so. I said Becky at first, but I mixed it up with somebody else from Spooner up here. Okay, Suze, I've got you shuffled up. I'm going to cut the deck for you. And then we'll read your card. Here we are, Suze. Let's go. All right. Now, we've had this card already, but let's make it new for you. The Three of Wands. And I'm just curious, if I pull a second card for you, you've also got the Page of Wands. So let's read the Three of Wands, and then I'll just give you a hint at what the Page of Wands has to say. All right. Hey, Rainey.
Hey, Scott, baby.
All right. So the Three of Wands. This is one that says, if you remember, I'll review because we had, that was one of our first cards. Three of Wands is being all dressed in your finery because your boat's come in and you've gone to the wharf to catch your boat. You've got all your stuff with you and you get there and find out the boat's taken off without you. And there you stand. You stand there a bit dumbfounded going, okay, if my boat came in and things are working the way they're supposed to work, why am I standing here with a stupefied look on my face, having missed my boat? And the idea with this is that your efforts have established a foundation for you, for your success, for the things that you're pushing forward. And success, by the way, doesn't always have to mean financial success. Success in other areas. You could be successful at winning over dark spots in your life. Success is what it's talking about. And the wands make it something that pertains to your emotional makeup, the things that drive you. And so this is saying maintain your resourcefulness. Keep efficiency at the heart of your push to move forward. And that's going to work for you. And some help is going to come along the way in the very present. It says help is going to come to help you either get through something, launch a new project, an intellectual idea. So don't delay. Don't put off accepting the help. The opportunity to interact with someone with greater resources than you is going to lead to some long-term success for you. And the work ahead of you, it's going to pose you an intellectual or mental challenge, emotional challenge. It's going to not be, in other words, not simple, easy peasy, step right into it. It means you got to work for it. You're going to be challenged to do something. And in order to succeed, you have to be able to think creatively or invent your own path forward in something. That's what this is about. And so this is saying right now, don't be discouraged by the fact that you missed the boat. You missed the boat for a reason. It's because it was the wrong boat. So this is saying stick around, get a hotel by the docks, wait for the next boat to come in, and that's the one you're supposed to be on. You're already set to go. It's a card of success, but a card of success that means wait a second. Just wait a little bit. It's still coming. It's not there yet, but you're working on it. It's working on you. All right? So there you go, Suze. That's your card. And the Two of Wands, by the way, since I pulled it up, let's talk about it for a second. The Page of Wands. Now, this one was the card right beneath your card on the deck. And so I thought, well, I might as well pull that up because I wanted to see if I got anything different in a second card since we've already done the Two of Wands already. And this card is, the pages were unlike the knights who were messengers of movement. These guys were just running the errands, the gopher boys for the king, so to speak. And they give you missives and letters and appointments and things like that. And they're just the go-betweens. They don't do any of the actual work like the knights do. And this is the idea of the prospects of recent work has energized you to see either financial gains or beginning new projects and so on. It's good news is coming, and it's going to infuse joy into your life is the idea. And a new phase of your life is going to begin after you receive an intense flash of inspiration. Boom, wham, epiphany. And this inspiration is going to be brought about by good news, by progress in your field, by a career advancement, by advancement in things that you are striving for in yourself. And what's interesting is that comes, if I were doing a full reading, this would have been your first card, this would have been your second card. So they go hand in hand. So there you go. All right, Suze, I hope that was helpful for you. And let's move on. Cordia, you are next. And then Morgan is on deck. So Cordia, front and center. Let's shuffle up for you. And we'll see where this all goes. So shuffling up for Cordia. Here's my little girl watching. That's Rowan Claire down in the corner. Look at your face there, Rowan. She's in the blue light back there. One more. Oh. You know what? I'm going to stop right there because I had a card pop right out. And I like to read these when they pop out. All right, Cordia. I think that there's a reason that cards pop out of decks. Call me a casual touristy responder to coincidence, but I don't think there's coincidence when it comes to the tarot. When a card pops out of the deck and flies up, I grab it and say, that's what this has got to be about. You ready for this? Your card is death. All right. Now, don't get too worried about that. In the tarot, death never means literal death. It doesn't mean you're dying. Anything like that. There's a much different message here. So you got the death card. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what this means. And death, when I say it's not literal death, that's exactly what I mean. This is out of the major arcana, and it's a card that means transition. It means moving from one place to another place. It means death to the past of this thing or something in your life and moving on to the new. It's a major event that's approaching your life and that it's going to arrive suddenly. It's going to be like boom. Like when death comes, sometimes we know it's coming and we can plan for it. Other times death happens and we're just not prepared for it. We might be inwardly prepared, but when the moment comes, we don't know. And there it is. And so this is something that's telling you you've moved into a new phase of life. All things change with time. And your path through the world's no different than anybody else's. And death comes, and this major event is going to arrive on your doorstep, and you're going to lose something valuable. That's the troublesome thing about it, is that the death card, though it doesn't mean physical death, means something's coming to an end, and it's abrupt, and you're going to feel it. It might sting a little bit, but that the death is always the open door, the threshold to the new life. And the only time death poses problems, and this came to me a while back about how to describe this. It's like many of us are involved with paranormal work, or we know about ghosts and spirits and the things caught in between, so to speak. That's sometimes the outcome we get with the death card. When something unexpected and painful and stinging comes along and makes a major change in our life, we don't want to move on to the new life. We'll stick ourselves in the middle of the old life that's already gone, and we're stuck not crossing the threshold. And so we're like a lot of the ghosts that we encounter. They aren't moving on because they're stuck where they are. And so this is a card of saying, realize that you've got to move past whatever this is so you can go into the new, the new beautiful life, the building of a new thing, the new chapter, the new thing coming that's better than the old. So that's what death is all about. That's what the death card means. Now, it popped out at me, so I don't know if this is... I take these as not coincidence when that happens, and I read them. So this is what I get for you. Something's coming. Might not be the prettiest thing coming. It might be a horrible thing to have to go through, but it leaves you in the place you're supposed to be and moving to the better. So there you go, Cordy. I hope that's helpful for you. I hope it means something. All right? That's a snapshot, by the way, of your day. All right. Let's see. Last person on my list right now is Morgan. And let me shuffle up for you, Morgan. And let's see what's going on with you today. Somebody says, can they ask something? There's no name there. It says your name is Bruna. Hi, Bruna. How you doing? Oh, good. I'm glad, Cordia. She says been stuck 7 years. Good confirmation. There you go. It's time to move on from that. Don't be stuck. It's the best thing I can offer. Don't be stuck. Morgan, let's do yours. By the way, I love the name Morgan. I love the name Morgan Le Fay in the Arthurian legends. Morgana in The Mists of Avalon, which we talked about last week. And my own daughter, one of my oldest twin daughters, is Bryn Morgan. It's her middle name. Love the name. All right. Knight of Wands, Morgan, for you. This is the Knight of Wands. Remember, I talked about knights. There's 4 of them in the deck. They indicate movement. Something's changing. There's movement taking place. And wands, it's in that arena of the emotions, the things that make you go, We've talked about that a few times today. The red, she uses the person who put together this deck, Cat Black, uses red in the background of every one of her wands cards. They're either wearing red or red is present. In this case, the red drapes behind the knight. And the red is supposed to indicate the fire and the zeal and the excitement and the exuberance of youthful energy, youthful creativity. That's what this card is about. And it's a knight who is offering you movement, or offering is probably not the right word, acknowledging your movement. And this knight is somebody who is focused on your emotional makeup. It's the root of your recent desires for change is your curiosity and your intuition. You've had ideas of moving forward, of changing something, of making a change. And, that sounds general because we all do that to a certain extent anyway. But this is specifically pointing out there's something that you've wanted to change, that you have a curiosity about it. Your intuition is tingling, your spidey senses. You want to make something happen. And the conflicts that you've faced over it at work have influenced the outcome of the events around you. And it might not just be at work. It might be amongst your friends. It might be amongst your peers. There's been conflict that's raised up over this. And so it's leaving you with having to face how to make that work. And how to interact with all the events that are spinning around you. And so this is the idea. The knight, remember I said the last knight we had in the readings today was the Knight of Coins. And he's the only knight on horseback that doesn't move. He's standing still because he's plodding, he's meticulous, he's slow. Well, this knight, the Knight of Wands, is wrapped up in the emotions. What do emotions do when we let them go? They move. They do what the emotion says to do. They don't think through the mathematics of something. This is all about who you are. This is, again, for like the 10th time, looking in the mirror in the morning going, God damn it, I'm so happy to be alive. What can I do today with the things that are my emotional drive? That's how our emotions carry us. So this is a spontaneous decision in the very present is going to lead you to make a long journey or this permanent relocation, moving house and home, moving to another place, another job, another something, another person. It's that physical relocation, and your dire desire is going to be to have achieved in some way that you weren't sure you could achieve, that you weren't sure you could get to. And it's almost spontaneous. It comes on you suddenly. And there's new challenges that are coming in the future as a result of this. They're coming your way. They're approaching. They're based, though, on hasty decisions. Decisions you've made with the heart rather than the head. With the emotion rather than the logic. And it may or may not have been your choice. But if you overcome all of this, the challenges are going to lead you to happiness and fulfillment in this thing. So the idea with this is that you've either made or are making or in the process of making or being pushed into choosing or making a choice about something that's been thrust on you. It's quick, it's fast, it's now. And many times we let our emotions make those decisions for us. Oh, hell yeah, I'm doing that because it makes me feel good. And it's where I want to be emotionally, but it's not always the best thing for us. And so this is telling you, maybe you got to slow it down a little bit, but you can't really affect what's already been done, the mechanics of that, meaning you've already made the decisions. You've already taken steps. You've already taken opportunities that are appealing to the emotions. But now what you got to do is make sure you carry that out in the right way, because you moved it with that red, the fire, the zeal, the excitement, the exuberance, the youthful lustfulness of life is what made the decision happen for you. And you thought it was a good thing. Might be. Probably still is. She made it too fast. So you got to slow it down a bit. and make the right decisions, okay? And Morgan, I hope that makes sense for you. Again, it's just one card, but it gives you a snapshot of today. And so, you know what? That's pretty much, I've been going for about 2 hours now. So I'm going to call it quits on the readings for today. And we'll do this again next Sunday. Oh, wait, I can't next Sunday because I'm out of town. On special assignment. I can't tell any of you what it's about, but I'm going to be gone next Sunday. So, and I'll tell you as soon as I can what that's about. And that's all we got for that today. I could launch into talking about politics. I could launch into talking about a lot of things, but all I will say is this, that there's an overall thrust I started to see with a lot of readings today. So there's a lot of people changing things. And we all go through change. We all have stuff we want to change, have to change, or change that has been thrust on us. And wait, what's that say? One more. Big Sarge? Where's Big Sarge? Did I miss you coming in? Let's see. Where are you, Big Sarge? I love how he's in the depth of the reading. Oh, wow. Now I really want one, he says. Okay. I'll do you, Big Sarge. We'll do you this time. Next time, get here earlier. All right. One for Big Sarge. All right. And this will be the last one I do, folks. Stick around and see how this is done. And by the way, I'm going to mention this to you again. I do tarot readings on the side, if you will, as part of what I do. Go to my website, scottallenroberts.com. And go over to click on the tarot link at the top of the page. And when you're there, you'll see a couple of PayPal buttons. You get a 5-card or a 10-card reading. 10-card is pretty involved. The 5-card is half involved. But you can see, like, by the 1 card, imagine if you multiply that by 5 or 10, the kind of information that comes out. So if you want to get a full reading, you got to pay for those. Come on over. I don't ask for donations. I don't ask you to subscribe with money to my channel. But I do say help support me and what I do and the work I do by supporting the stuff that helps me make a good living. So go on over if you want a full reading. You've been thinking about getting one for somebody else. Go over and sign up. So now's the time, Rainey says.
And it's okay to purchase readings to give as gifts.
Yes, it is okay to purchase readings to give as gifts. And so let me know. All you have to do is go sign up, make your payment. It takes it through PayPal. And then just contact me and let me know that you made that payment. It'll show up in my records and we'll schedule you. Okay? Enough advertisement. Let's go on here for Big Sarge. Shuffling up for you, Big Sarge. Here we go. All right. And when I do readings, I don't like to know stuff about people because I don't want my brain to take me in a certain path that it shouldn't go. And so I like to go in not knowing anything about what's on your mind. That's everybody. That counts for everybody. Sarge, if you were here, I'd be having you cut the deck for me. So I'm going to do that. Now we're all cut. I'm going to draw a card for Big Sarge. Here we go. Big Sarge, you are the Queen of Cups. All right. That does not necessarily mean you are a cross-dresser or a trans person. Not that there's anything wrong with that, to throw in the political caveat. What this means is the royal face cards, queens and kings, generally refer to somebody within your sphere of influence that you are going to recognize. It's going to be a woman you know. Or conversely, it is going to be the qualities of this queen that are showing up inside of you. Just like I can draw a card for a woman that is a king card, it can mean a man in her life, or it can mean that she is exhibiting some of the qualities of this particular king in the deck. Same thing with this. Now, this is a card. You tell me if you recognize this. I don't have other cards around this in a full reading to modify this. So I don't know if this is you or somebody in yours, or you personally, or somebody next to you in influence that you know. But the Queen of Cups, cups is that suit of our passions, the things we give and get on a love level, a relationship level, and so on. And this particular queen is somebody who is the giver. She is the person who puts out herself for everybody around her in her circle of influence. She's the one who gives of her time. She's the one who gives of herself. She's the one who is in a sense baking the pie for everybody to eat and go, come on, everybody, I made pie. Come and get a slice. Yet she is the person who, when it's all done, goes, oh, I didn't leave a slice for myself. This is the person who gives and gives and gives and gives, sometimes to their own detriment, whether they realize it or not. And they don't fuss about it so much. It's not like, I'm grousing because I didn't get a piece of pie. It's like, I'll just bake another one. But then you're taking the load on yourself to do more work. This is something, a card that says you've self-achieved. You have self-awareness. You've balanced aspects of your personality. And the success that you're seeking might not be here yet. But it's going to arrive if you continue to deepen your knowledge of how your innards work. So let's say you're baking the pie and you want to have a piece or two of that pie, but in your generosity, you've given that pie all out. Maybe you need to figure out, how do I bake the pie and make sure I get a piece and also do the other things I'm trying to do? In your very present, this card, this Queen of Cups is saying to you, possibilities to your life are going to be revealed by the influence of a powerful woman in your sphere of influence. Okay? That's if it's external. Now, it may be something internal where you have to take on, look at the qualities of this queen and make sure you're doing these things for yourself. But when the queens represent women that we know, this could very much have to do with a woman who is in power or in the power seat or in the know, somebody who wields influence in your life, that she's going to challenge or inspire you. But whatever she does is going to lead you to valuable insight that you better damn well listen to, is the idea. So if you're being offered advice from somebody that's a power woman in your circle, however you want to define power, she's somebody that you should not ignore. And you should look for this advice as it comes. And the idea with this card, too, is to seek out assistance from loved ones, from people you know, people who are close to you, looking especially to the female wisdom around you. One of the top cards in the deck is the High Priestess card. And that card is the fulfillment of the female intuitive of knowledge. And so that feminine knowledge that's in your sphere of influence is going to help you determine the journey, the path you take, your emotional considerations, regardless of your professional success. This is all about you and who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. So, boom, Queen of Cups. This is stuff in you got to take care of. This is also looking out for that person, that woman, who is that influencer on you. Listen to what she has to say. And at the same time, make more time for you. In doing good, there's a Bible verse that says, be not weary in well-doing. And the idea with that is don't do good. Even good things can wear us down. So it's the idea, do the good stuff, but make sure you don't wear yourself down in the process. Boom, there you go, brother. All right. That's all I got for today, folks, on readings. So, Big Sarge, I hope that was helpful. And there we go. Folks, we'll do this again next Sunday. I'm going to shoot for, if we can make it happen, around 9 in the morning, thereabouts, 9:30, something like that. Central Standard Time, of course. And I'll be here. And we're going to do more of this after my regular show airs on the radio during the week. 1 or 2 nights, we're going to try to hit a little after show and go live with that instead of what's pre-recorded for the radio. So there you go, folks. And if any of you have anything, any questions, shoot them my way. Let's talk for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to take off. Go do some stuff with my family. And I got a show with Rocky tonight, by the way. So be sure at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, midnight East Coast time. What would it be? 7 p.m. Left Coast time out in California, Oregon, all those places, Pacific. The Situation Room with Rocky Stucci and I. And we will be there. Or is it in me? Rocky Stucci and me. So hope to see you there tonight. What?
I said, isn't it me and? Aren't you supposed to say me and?
No, and me.
And me? I don't like
And me. It'd be Rocky and me. A lot of people use Rocky and I. You use my mom and I did this. My mom and I.
Me and my mom.
It's a me and my mom. You always put the other person first is the protocol. And there's times where you have to form a question. You said, am I doing it or is me doing it? And that's the way we always figured that out. That's the way I was taught. Am I using my mouse or am me using my mouse? So if somebody asks who's using the mouse? You'd say, I am. I am using my mouse, not me. You don't say me. Me is improper. Same thing when you're joining with another person. Rocky and I or Rocky and me. Who's doing the investigation? I am. Me could be proper there. You get it. You get how that works. Some of that stuff bugs me, so I stickler on it. West, not left, says Audrey. Okay, West Coast. Well, for Audrey's sake, it's West Coast. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday too, Kay. Thank you for being here. Cordia, thank you for being here. Yeah, English lessons. There you go. Intrepid Radio with Scotty Roberts. Tonight's English lesson will be. And so there it is. And remember, if you didn't catch the shows last week, especially is not a word. There is no X in the word especially. It's especially. If you say especially, you're a moron. Sorry, I had to say that. Often, just Rainey brought up the other one I have a big stick in the mud on. The word often. The T is silent. Silent T on often. It's not often. I don't know why they started using that. When I grew up in school, we were taught in class the T is silent in often. If you say often, you got to fix it. All right? Now I'm being preachy. So English wasn't my favorite class at K. I didn't have any favorite classes. I liked art class, of course. Loved history as I got a little older. Hated it when I was in school. I hated studying. I didn't like that stuff. Now I do too much of it. So and it's not because I didn't do it back then. I got B's and C's on things because I didn't study. If I'd studied, I'd have probably got a scholarship to somewhere. So anyway, there we are, folks. Thanks for being here. I'm going to wrap this up now. It is 11:29 and 42 seconds by Greenwich Mean Time. I'm 5 hours off of, or 6 hours now. Is it because of daylight savings time? So it's now 11:29, almost 11:30 in the morning, Central Standard Time. And I'm signing off. I want to thank you for being here. I'll see you tomorrow night for my show. See you tonight on Rocky's channel for the Situation Room. Thanks for being here. Bye.
It's not stopping.